Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Sorry about the sporadic uploads. It's just one of them things, life gets in the way. So I get tons of questions about this Noveski Ghetto Blaster from Double Eagle. And, people saying, is it as good as what you said it was? Now you've had a bit of time with it. And honestly, this quite possibly is one of the biggest MWS models that I play with on a daily basis. Now that might sound a bit strange. The weather's crap here at the moment. I haven't been to a game in a while, but I'm always tinkering, playing, and just having fun with this stuff. And you can do that at home. Yes, you might not be able to shoot at a range of 60, 70 plus meters, but you can still have great fun with these things if you do it nice and safely in and around the house, in your back garden, stuff like that. So this just seems to be the one that I'm picking up all the time. Like I'll come into the workshop, there's an absolute butt ton of MWSs, really expensive MWSs down to the cheaper end MWSs, and this always seems to be the one that I'm picking up. And it could be just the format, a nice short gas blowback, with a nice sliding stock. Yes, the stock has some wobble. What stocks don't. And it could just be the format that I'm enjoying, or it could just be the fact that Double Eagle have made improvements over the original Noveski N4, and for some reason I'm just having an absolute blast with this thing. So I'm getting a ton of questions as well. People saying Jaeger Precision Ghetto Blaster buffer when. So I've actually got the files, everything ready to go on a heavier buffer for this, but I need to get a prototype made, test it, see if it's worth doing. The standard mag that it comes with, if you trim the tube down like I showed you in one of the other videos, the standard mag's actually pretty good. I just don't think, for the quality that these are compared to a Marui one, obviously these have been used a lot, just in the materials, everything like that, the feed lips on the Double Eagle one are quite soft. So sometimes the BBs can plop out the top, where you don't get that with the Marui. You can just tell handling it that, one is made to a higher quality than the other, which if these were cheaper, fair enough. And people come and say, well, they're only like £60 on such. £60 for one of these mags, right? You can usually get a Tokyo Marui MWS mag like this on WGC for I think £28. Yes, it's overseas. You will get a bit of import, but still vastly cheaper than buying these at £60. So I think Double Eagle, if you're listening, if you can get this to the end user cheaper, that would be much better. And I think you need to stiffen up the plastic on the feed lips a little bit. I think it is a little bit soft, but it could just be the gap is a bit too big. I'm not too sure. But many questions you guys ask. How do I do a quick field strip of this thing if I need to do any maintenance or anything like that? So I'm going to teach you that today. If we've got time, I'm going to pull the barrel and hop apart and show you what's going on in there. And we'll pull the trigger pack apart as well. So it's a very simple system. You have your stock folded, you have your stock out. It doesn't really matter. Simple thing is, rack the bolt so the gun is cocked and then put it in safe. Don't force the gun into safe if the gun is not cocked. If the hammer's forward like that, you won't be able to push it all into safe. Don't force it. Rack it once, put it into safe. Make sure the gun is nice and safe. And then it's very straightforward. You pop the back pin out, you lever the top up. I'm making a pig's ear of this because I'm trying to do it while filming. Pop the front pin out. You can split the upper and lower receiver. You'll see this is the standard buffer in here and spring. That's the standard spring that comes with it. That's your buffer and everything else out there. Not real much use to mess around with this unless you want to take it apart. We'll look at that in a different video because I'm going to try and do this as quickly as I can today. So the lower is ready to go. Upper, you can pull the charging handle, pull your bolt out like so. Very, very simple field strip, and most of the time That's all you're going to need to do. People have been asking, you know, what nozzle should I go to if I manage to break this one? I've had good, I think the Guns Modify ones are the best bang for buck. They seem to be very good. My other Noveski's got one in and it's running really, really nice. I've already done takedown videos of the Noveski bolts. There's nothing really changed there, so you can find that in the Double Eagle MWS playlist on YouTube. I'll try and put it down in the description below. If I forget, you can find it on the playlist on the channel. So we've got a bunch of Torx here, which is nice. I do prefer Torx over normal Allen key. I think that's going to be like a T20. So we'll put a T20 in there. Hopefully we can pull this apart real quick, so we can take these bolts out quickly for you. Oh, there's a bit of torque on them. Okay, that one doesn't want to break. Neither does that one. Do I have a T20? Do I have another T20, that is? T25, T15. Oh, it's going to be sod's law now, isn't it? Right, come on, we can do this. Let's dig deep. There we go. I'd rather these be tight than loose. Oh, Jesus Christ. You might be struggling to take this off, girls and boys. Take the bottom ones off. Oh, these ones are actually nice and loose. Just that one that's left. Come on. We can do it. No, we can't. Jesus. What is going on here? And where's my other T20? Do I need to break out? Hang on, here we go. What's this? T9. I think that is a T20. Difference with this is it's got a hole in, which means I can shove something through that hole to get a bit more torque on the screwdriver, because trying to do something with your hands like that, oh god, I think I'm actually going to break the screwdriver. Come on. Yeah, broke the screwdriver. Right, 2 seconds. Right, hopefully we can do it with this. Let's try this the other way around. There we go. Just need a little bit more torque. I actually do have like a torque wrench with all these bits. Again, it's around here somewhere. So we take all these bolts off and we can actually slide the rail off. The rail is nice and light. It's got a little pin at the top there, which indexes with the upper receiver. And the barrel nut is actually nice and loose, which is a surprise. You know, you do have to be careful with these because you have to clock them properly for the screws to line up when the rail's on. So before we do that, we'll pull the flash hider off. At least you haven't got to see me struggle trying to get that off. I think this is a 2mm Allen key. A couple of screws, little grub screws on the front there. So many of you requested this because you were, you know, putting bits and pieces in and you wanted to know the best way to take this thing apart. It looks like Double Eagle did listen to me about the hop arms, so that's nice from the previous video. You've got a hop adjuster in there, which is a small Phillips screw, and then this will slide out. It's very straightforward on all the MWSs. I'm not going to do it because that little detent and spring can fly out and you can lose it. So if you do have to slide this out, just be very, very careful. Remove the screw, slide it to the rear, and out it comes. For the hop and barrel here, can slide that out. Very reminiscent of an MWS, like a normal MWS hop and barrel. We drop stuff like that by removing the O-ring. So you've got the two sides of the hop, you've got your hop arm, and you've got a little rubber nub there. So you can put the Titan in this and it'll work gloriously. You've got a normal Maru VSR, GBB pistol, GBB rifle hop up. Now these hop ups don't actually seem bad at all, but I would recommend, especially with I recommend it with all MWSs, not just the clones. Titan nub, you can get them in plastic, which are like $4.99, or you can get the Extreme Edition, which is the CNC ones, which are pink to match the Flamingo, which are $14.99, and then the Flamingos are like $8.99, so very inexpensive. Whack those things in there. You could use the standard barrel if you want to, or you could upgrade to a different barrel. Now, with the barrel size, I should have a tape measure here. I know I'm always looking for tools. Ah, there it is. I see it across the room. So I saw it with the eyes in the back of my head. And this is a 199 mil barrel, 200 if you want to call it a push. So the same size as like the AKM and the AKX, bog standard. Normal Tokyo Marui barrels, or like if you go for something, I do recommend the Lilacs barrels. They're very good. They normally come in 250 or 370. Now you could go 250 and you could chop it down, or go get something that's, you know, specifically that size. Me personally, I would go Lilacs Prometheus 603, go for a 250. If you can find somebody that's got a lathe, trim it down to 200, I would do that, so it matches the barrel length. Alternatively, you could just fit a suppressor on the end and use a 250mm barrel. So that's what I would do, and it's what I will be doing. In this video, I won't be installing it just yet because I don't have a barrel to hand, but I'll be going 250mm barrel, Lilacs Prometheus that is, 603. And then what I'll do is I'll just trim it down on the lathe to fit. What do I do with my tweezers? There we go. And machine it down to 200 with a Titan nub and a 60-degree Flamingo. That is my preferred setup. I think I've said it on video many times, but still people ask. So one O-ring in front of the hop, one O-ring around the hop, like so, and then we can slide that back into the barrel. You don't necessarily have to take the barrel apart to clean it if you're careful. You just don't want any lubricants whatsoever. I just kicked out the O-ring. There's a little O-ring that sits on the inside of the outer barrel here just to secure the barrel to the outer barrel, make sure it doesn't like vibrate around or wobble. We can fit this back into the gun. Now we do need to be careful here, so what we want to do is we want to make sure that that arm goes underneath the arm on the adjuster, and as long as you do that, you should be having a good time. And one thing you can do is, before you put all that stuff on, put your rail on. You see how these haven't quite clocked up properly? An old trick we used to do was to move it forward, put a couple of bolts in, and then you can use that to just torque it past it. I don't think we're going to need to do that because it wasn't on incredibly tight anyway. So you see I've gone past it a little bit there. You could space this out a bit. Probably what I'd do so I can get a nice torque on it. Take your faux gas block there. Just going to line it up so it's nice and straight. Like that. And then we're going to snug these two grub screws down. Like that. We can slide the rail back on. We can put our flash hider on. You can put the flash hider on first if you want to. And then you can go ahead and refit all of these screws. Now, if anybody wants to know the screwdrivers that I've been using recently, they're the Wheeler branded screws. You can get them, well, I bought them off Brownells. Very nice screwdrivers. Really do like them. You get them in like a 3 set, which is why I bought them. You get Torx, you get metric, and you get imperial, which predominantly is what you use. They're very nicely made. They seem to be quite strong. The only thing that's missing, I think, on these screwdrivers, what I like, which you'll see on the Stanley one, is a hole at the end. And what all that enables you to do is when you've got a stuck screw, like you saw earlier, you can put something through it just to get a bit more torque on it, because as good as these screwdrivers are, when they've got short handles like this, you can't get much grip on it and you do struggle. Although, to be honest with you, the best thing you can do is be torquing these up with a torque wrench with some Torx bits on there, which I do have somewhere, but I don't ever use it. But normally I use that for scopes and optics. So that's back together. You can find a disassembly for the bolt already on the channel. And then for the lower receiver, I've never took this apart before, so you're just in the dark as I am. They have got rid of the Phillips screw, which is nice. It shows that Double Eagle are listening. Let me get a 3mm. You watch it be a 2.5 now. Bloody is a 2.5, or is it a 2? It's a 2. I don't think it's a Torx. So 2.5. So they've got rid of the Phillips screw, which is annoying as hell on the Maruis. Should have some more of the upgraded trigger housing screws back on the website soon for the Maruis. Let that screw drop out there. You'll have a pin that goes through the body. You just have to find out which way it's gone in. So the serrated edge is this side. You also need to remove the selector. Now that is a small flathead. So you're going to need a small flathead on the right hand side selector. Is that going to be enough? Maybe a little bit more. More than that? Bloody hell. Is this a long one? Yeah, it's a pin. Okay, cool. Then we can slide that off. And then everyone always asks me what the trick is to getting these selectors in and out. So with the gun cocked, let it release off the sear, off the first sear that is, and then you just want to push from the one side and rotate like that. Just go from safe to full, pulling it out as you go, and it will pop straight out. Now we need to tap that pin out. So we'll get a pin punch of adequate size. Of course, I think my hammer's downstairs, so I'm just going to use these snips here. Save me running off to find them. So we've got that out majority of the way, we just needed the rest. Get some pliers on here, pull that pin out, serrated edge on the right. Now there is a system here for the ambidextrous bolt release, but I think it comes out. I think it's just a pin that goes over when the bolt lock is engaged. So we're also going to have to take out the mag release. We do that by pushing the mag release through all the way, and then we rotate it anti-clockwise. You have to pull it out as you turn it so that you don't scratch up your receiver or your bolt release. So pull and twist, pull and twist. Each time I'm not letting it contact the receiver because I've got my finger there stopping it coming all the way. Nice little ambi mag release from them. And just keep going with that. Eventually you'll be able to just spin it freely, and then the button and the spring will pop out from the other side. Once we've done that, we should, and you can't do that on a Marui. Getting these out on a Marui is an absolute ball ache. But are we going to have to remove... I think we are indeed going to have to remove the ambi bolt release, because I think the pin, we have to take that out. So, little flathead screwdriver. Sorry if this is a long video. I'm trying to cover as many questions as I can in one video. So we've screwed that out. It's another pin type screw. We've got the spring and the catch, and then we've got the pin in there. So I'm hoping that just slides out, which it doesn't. So we can lever that up slightly like so. And then I can get some pliers and pull that pin out. There we go. That'll be sitting under the valve knocker, so I imagine it's a similar system to that DieTac receiver that I covered a long time ago. And this just looks like very much a generic MWS set plate trigger box. I don't know what the materials of this are. Do I have a magnet? I do have a magnet somewhere, and I know it's on this bench because I put it away the other day. And then it just disappears. I swear Loki's coming in and stealing stuff. So I've got a weird magnet here. So we've got a steel roller. It feels like a steel hammer. So steel hammer. I don't think the roller's steel actually. It might be stainless, but the hammer is definitely steel. The sears are steel. Trigger is steel. Bolt release is steel. So they're using a lot of steel components. Now they might not be like CNC machined, but you know, all those important pieces of steel, and this coming from a manufacturer that, you know, does adhere to the cheaper market. Now they're doing, I think they're doing proper aftermarket stuff now. You can say that they've done the Noveski M4, they've done the Ghetto Blaster. I don't know why my rail's scratched there. Now they're doing trigger boxes with full steel components. I can't remember what they were like in the original Noveski M4, so you'd have to, you know, pardon me there, but full steel controls, normal Z plates. So if you want to pick up the Jaeger Precision Z plate, should go straight in here, as it works on the Noveski N4 as well. Let's see if we can get this back installed. Now, if you do take apart these trigger boxes, just be very careful because everything will want to jump out at you. If you guys want that, I can do it in a future video. And yeah, we basically just take the trigger pack, we slot it back into the receiver nice and easy, which you cannot do on a Marui unless you've modified it. We take our pin, we put the pin in that little hole. I'm going to put the main pin in for the trigger pack as well because we don't want that falling out, so I'm just going to lightly tap that in. Yes, I'm not using the correct tool here. Do as I say, not as I do. Otherwise, I'm going to have to disappear again and go find my trusty hammer, which is older than I am. Right, we've got those components in. We take our spring, which goes on the lever like that. That slots in, bear with me here, that slots into the body. We take our pin, which has the screw thread on the back of it, and then we can screw this in. Really do like that that fixture, that design. And we don't want to go too far. I mean, I think it was like just below flush or flush on the receiver. That's in. Now, here's what many of you asked me about, how to put selectors back in on Maruis. Now, what you want to do, we can push it in, and you can look from the other side if this helps you. and we're basically just going to slot this back in. You've got little levers there that are on the trigger, so if you want, you can just push that back into place. Now with most selectors, you can just rotate the selector and it will push past that. And then you've got the pin here, which we can just push out the way. You have to rotate this back into place like that. So there we go. That feels like it's going to pop in. Push the pin in, and there we go. Simple as that. Just don't force it. That's the only thing you need to remember. Put our right side selector on there. I do like these selectors with the lower angle semi selection. I really do like that. And we're going to put this screw in. We're just going to go flush or just below flush. Not going to go much further than that, like so. Now the only thing we need to do is put in the rear screw with a 2.5 Allen key into the rear of the receiver there. Am I threading this in? Or is that screw not going in? Not too sure. There we go. Felt it click in. Is it going to go in? It's going on here then. Can the trigger pack move? It looks well, that should be lining up, so I'm not sure as to why that's not going in. Perhaps we have to put a bit of downwards pressure on it. Not too sure about that. Why is that screw not going in? Not 100% sure on that. See if I can see what's going on. It looks okay. It does indeed look okay. Let's give this one more go. If not, I'll just do it off camera. Save you hanging around for me. There we go. Got it. Just wasn't quite lining up for some reason. Just take your time with it. Don't over tighten that. You really don't need to. Function check. What that means is cock the hammer, drop the rear sear, and just make sure everything works, which it of course does. Put it back on safe. You're going to put the spring and the button in place, because what we're going to do is going to put the mag release back on. So put the mag release in all the way like that. Put the spring in. Sometimes you can basically put this in place and then turn the button on a few turns. Now with this receiver, you're not going to be able to do that because of the receiver geometry around the button. So you're just going to have to try and line it up. Push the button in. Get it started. Just go slowly. Eventually you'll get it lined up like that. Can feel it. Now with this ambi mag release, you can actually lever it up, so you don't have to be as aggressive on the turns to get it started, but then it will start to catch the release. So just basically I'm just saying be careful that you don't scratch your nice receiver, as I've done many times trying to rush this. Pull, twist, pull, twist. Go in half turns, and then okay, we need to go back a little bit because I've gone a little bit too far. And you're basically just looking at your button here. So what you want you want the threads flush with the top. You don't want them protruding. If they protrude just a slight bit, just back it out one, because otherwise it's not going to be very comfortable for you. Putting the spring in, it's a very weak spring, but it seems to work well. Put the buffer in, pop your charging handle and your bolt back into the rifle, and away we go. Which leads me on to the last section now. We're on 30 minutes, so I was going to try and keep this short, but I've failed, so I've tried to include as much as I can, save me doing part 2 on this thing. But the last question people ask, I've just picked a Noveski N4 up, or I've just picked up the Noveski Ghetto Blaster. What do you recommend I put in it from the get-go? Now, you can use this out the box. The gun performs really, really well for the money. But I would recommend always a hop and barrel combo, Titan nub, flamingo rubber, and usually like a Lilacs Prometheus barrel, or whatever barrel of choice you want to go with. Fit an end pass. Now you get the end passes on the Jaeger Precision website as well. Fit the end pass, because a lot of the times these come a little bit warm out the box, so you want to be nice and sight legal. After that, just run it. You can mod your mags, as I've showed you in many videos. Get yourself a bunch of mags, have some fun. And then what I probably would say, I haven't seen it on this one yet. I did break the nozzle on my original Noveski N4. Pick yourself up a Guns Modify nozzle, just so you got one spare. So in the eventuality that something happens, it's good to go. Now we can do a quick dry fire function test with this. Of course, the gun is empty. We should have a bit of gas in this short mag. And of course the double eagle mag. This gun is phenomenal. I highly recommend picking one of these up if you haven't already. Like, comment, subscribe, put all your questions down below, and I'll try to answer them as fast and to the best of my ability as I can. Get involved in the Discord. The link is in the description below. You can find over 1,000 members in there, and it's quite useful because there's a lot of users in there that use my products, or they use products that you see on the channel in terms of like GBRs and stuff. So if I can't answer as quickly, usually there's a lot of people in there, and a lot of them are very experienced. They can help you out just as well. So like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the links in the description below. And as always, sorry for the long video, from me and Bench. We'll see you in the next one.